I just think she needs to play more video games. That's the answer. Is dead on. It is a 10 out of 10. No question.
What are you doing out hitchhiking on a night like this, eh? Raccoon City. Better you than me.
Watch out!
Claire, why are you back here?
This whole town's been poisoned. If we don't contain this, it could threaten the whole world.
What the
This is Lisa from Top Movie Picks Taiwan.
Hi, how are you?
Hello. Good to speak to you.
Well, it's quite bright there. It's evening here in Taiwan, but I guess it's morning there. I'm your first interview, is it?
It's 9 a.m. You're my very first interview of the day.
Wow, I feel special.
And I've got a coffee in my hand.
Speaking about special, you must feel quite special when you know that you're going to take this part, because I know you're such a gamer. You're a big fan of Resident Evil video game, right?
I am. I grew up on the games. One of my earliest childhood video game memories is playing Resident Evil in my basement with the lights off and the dogs jumping through the window and just scaring the hell out of me.
Well, you're pretty bold. I mean, for a little boy to do that.
I was probably about 8. I mean, I grew up on video games. I remember getting the first Nintendo and Super Nintendo, and then I had my PlayStation. It was hockey and video games when I was a kid.
I just loved the whole Resident Evil world. You can kind of see that in the movie. That actually what brought the movie to life, weirdly, was a sense of humor that we all shared. You know, I pitched the idea of going back to horror and going back to the games.
And you literally bring the audience walk into the video games. Did you feel pressure when you first trying to create this world? Because, you know, the previous Resident Evil franchise has been so successful.
Yeah, no, but now I do. When we started, it was such a different thing. You know, the previous franchise was its own thing. It was Paul and Mila creating their own world. It didn't really have anything to do with the games, or so much to do with the games. I was coming on to something totally new, and I was doing something that the fans of the game have been wanting for 25 years, which is to go back to the games. We weren't recreating anything from the previous franchise, so it felt very fresh and new and free of pressure. And then we started, and then I realized how important this is for the fans. We became closer and closer to the games as the movie progressed. So as we were there and we were building sets and we were really trying to make this match the games, you know, I was such a nerdy geek that I just wanted to, you know, recreate the police station and the mansion, started leaking out. And the enthusiasm from the fans, like I remember someone writing about the truck and how someone had seen pictures of the truck from the beginning, and they were so excited because I'd made it identical, same make, same, everything about it was identical. And they got so excited, so I got even more excited. And then we really started leaning into that. Yeah, you worry that you let people down. So yeah, the pressure is much more now than it was when I started, I think.
Did you feel scared when you play the video game and compared to shooting the movies? Because there are a lot of actual zombies chasing after you. Which one you think is scarier?
Playing the game was way scarier. Watching the movie is pretty scary. Shooting the movie is not very scary. You see these zombies and they're pretty scary, and then you see them like eating a sandwich or having a Coke, and you're like, oh, never mind. Not that scary anymore.
You know, it's funny to me because I actually asked Kara the same question and she gave me a total different answer. She was so scared. She's totally freaking out. She told me that at the end of the day, she was confused about what's real and what's real. So you are a brave one.
I just think she needs to play more video games. That's the answer.
You must be very excited when you know that you're gonna be Chris, the iconic character in the video games. Did you do any silly things when the first day you try on the costume? Maybe taking a lot of selfies?
It was definitely a dream come true for me. I remember meeting with Johannes and geeking out over the video games and his script and the adaptation. And then one of the first big moments for me was trying on the different bulletproof vests and flak jackets, and then finding, you know, the Vietnam flak jacket, the green one. They got an authentic flak jacket. They had to take some of the inside out of it because it was just so heavy, and they were like, you can't be running around in this the whole shoot. And they needed to replicate it to have doubles. But it was one of those kind of surreal moments where it was during COVID, so the wardrobe fitting was a little weird. You're kind of alone, even though you're going through this fitting. And I remember I sent a picture to my wife, and I was just like, this is awesome. Like, this is so cool.
I snuck a couple of little things. I have a little Easter egg toy, which I don't think has been in any of the trailers. I don't think people have seen it, but I stole that for myself at the end. But my wife won't let me put it anywhere because it's so hideous. It's so scary.
The art department, I mean, what they've done must be very impressive. And you were talking about the replica of the set.
Oh, it was unbelievable. The production designer, the art department, props, wardrobe, everybody did such a great job. You can tell that people really did their homework and knew what they wanted to make. And Johannes was just a genius. He went to Capcom and asked for the blueprints for the mansion and for the police station because he wanted it to be so accurate. And, you know, stepping onto those sets, it's really like stepping into the video game. I think he did such a great job with it.
It was the most geeky, nerdy thing I've ever done. You know, I love the games. And then to be able to go build that from the games, or stick that typewriter in there, or put this here, or
right. Yeah, the typewriter.
let's do this, let's do that, let's make a joke to Jill's sandwich, or let's, you know, how are we going to do Wesker's sunglasses? What are we, you know, all these kind of little things.
Right.
And people would be like, oh, great idea. And I'd be like, oh, cool, then let's do it more and more. You know, you get into this job because you're a nerd. When you're young, that's not cool. And then suddenly you get to a stage where this is like, people like really want to hear, like, oh, tell me more about the little details and stuff like that. It's so much fun. Yeah, so it was great. I enjoyed it.
So from 1 to 10, how much do you rate the set replica of the video games? Can you walk us through which set, which buildings is the most impressive to you?
Like the foyer, the lobby, right when you walk into the mansion is dead on. It is a 10 out of 10, no question. It was just so cool, and it felt like I was just stepping into the video game. The dining room that I have a big fight scene in actually wasn't built. It was, they found it at this location in Hamilton, and they turned it into the room, and it's, you know, it's dead on. The doors are in the right place. It's really impressive how much that worked out. The mansion foyer they built on a soundstage so they could do it, you know, to scale and everything. But they found the dining room, and it was spot on. Things are straight out of the cutscene, like the guy eating the hamburger in the big 24-wheeler at the beginning. I mean, it's right out of the game. You watch it, and it's almost shot for shot. I think he just did such a great job of pulling these special moments, but also creating these relationships between these characters and building that connective tissue that makes all of those things matter, so that it's not just 2 minutes that look the same, 2 minutes that look the same, 2 minutes that look the same. And here's some stuff from the game, and here's why you should care about it.
The abandoned school that you used for orphanage. How did you find that place? It was amazing.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. The school was a real place that we found. And as soon as I went in, I was like, oh yeah, I want to use this. I don't know how or why, but I want to use this. I think this is great. And we built some stuff because I wanted it to match the game. And it was creepy, like walking around it.
Yeah.
There were some very creepy parts to that place.
You know, it's funny that whenever there's an abandoned place in Asia, there are always the true haunted story behind it. Did you feel anything, any supernatural things?
We had, you know, you had sort of 100 people there, lights and everything. So all the sort of, that kind of stuff. If you walk down one of the long corridors, you go down the steps to this gymnasium, you know, 3 or 4 times the height of a normal room, like huge with these massive windows, this 1950s kind of style gymnasium. And it's full to the brim with junk. I would go in there on my own. I like 3 or 4.
Are you serious? Oh, you're so brave.
It was so creepy. To be stuck in that place overnight with nobody there would have been a very frightening. But it's a super cool place.
That sounds that I've also learned that there are a lot of Easter eggs, right?
You know, as a big fan of the games, at least a few times a week, I was walking in going, "Oh my God, look at that thing!" I remember being in the laboratory, and there was a bunch of green and red and blue herbs behind me, and it was just, they're not talked about, they're not used in the movie, but they're straight out of the game, and that's really cool. In the dining room, when I'm walking through it, there's a picture behind me that is straight out of the game, and somebody picked it off on like day one of the trailer being released. People were like, "Oh, look at this," and they were pulling stills from the game. Versus if you have played the games, you are going to lose your mind watching this movie. And if you haven't, you still get to watch this super fun 90s zombie movie that is more of a horror movie than people are expecting. It's scary. It's a horror movie first.
Yeah. For a moment, I thought I was watching Conjuring. It's a Conjuring with the zombies.
Exactly.
I'm kind of envy you because I am a big fan of horror film as well, and I want to see the zombies in person. When I do that, I will go to an amusement park or during Halloween, but you can never touch them, let alone shooting them. So how does it feel? I mean, especially you can fight with them.
It was really great because for most of my fight scenes, the zombies were all stuntmen and stunt women in zombie makeup and zombie wardrobe. So like we got to really go for it with the fight scenes, and we didn't have to worry about people would have gotten hurt, but we just were able to go a little more aggressive because they were stunt players.
Messed up with their makeup?
Well, I mean, we couldn't, no hitting, but they were really laying out and taking hard hits to the ground and making it look, selling it and making it look real. And, ours were so strong and such amazing performers. I think that really sold those scenes. Hey, Top Movie Picks, it's Robbie Amell. And the reason you should go see Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City is because, I mean, it is the adaptation that Resident Evil fans have been waiting for. And if you haven't seen Resident Evil, or if you haven't played Resident Evil, it doesn't matter, because then you just get a badass 90s zombie movie with great music, some really good scares, and a whole lot of fun.
Cool. Thank you so much, Robbie. Have a nice day. Thank you. Thank you so much. Dennis, take care.
See you later. Bye.
Cheap Irons, pick up your damn radio!
小铃铛就不会错过任何精彩内容，随时上架。我们下回再见。